70, it is completely clear, but here's this front just to our north and west, causing that tight pressure gradient and the wind. There's some rain up there around Iowa, but when it pushes through here, the dew points are so low, we are expecting it to go through here dry, maybe a few clouds, but still very clear. And the dew points right now from St. Louis to Chicago in the 30s at this point. We're trying to see a little uptick in the dew point out here around Jeff City and also into Columbia, but not enough to cause any rain out there. So a trough of low pressure right there, deepening. Cold front moves through here, and overnight lows will be in the 40s for low temperatures. Even some spots this morning dropped lower than the mid to upper 40s, but tonight's lows maybe a little bit warmer, but still chilly in the morning hours on Tuesday. Still a little bit breezy. Tuesday 63, Wednesday 64, and it looks like Thursday also dry and 66. Rain moves in on Friday.
This has been a 5 on Your Side local news update.
Hello, we want to take you live to a St. Louis Public Schools news conference about Millicent Borishade, the superintendent, being fired on Friday. Let's listen in.
Education. We will have Dr. Berry, and we will have Byron Clemens, who represents Local 420. I also want to acknowledge that we have Ms. Karen Johnson, who is president of AFT Missouri. So thank you all for coming today. In terms of the remarks themselves, they are going to delve more or less into the vision that the interim superintendent is going to have related to taking on this role. As you might imagine, she has learned that she's going to be in this role as of Friday, so she's not going to be delving into a long history of what she's going to plan. I ask you to indulge her and us in that regard. In addition, when we are getting toward the end of this particular session, we will be taking Q&A. Only for a specific period of time. We are looking at, based upon the timing, being finished around 2:30. So get your questions in and get them in quickly. If there are follow-ups, we will see if we can, of course, respond to those. But again, do accept the fact that there is a lot of information that is still being provided. So with that being said, I would like to acknowledge additionally Board Vice President, Ms. Emily Hubbard. I would like to acknowledge board member, Ms. Donna Jones. And of course, throughout the entire session here, we have members of the current SLPS cabinet, which are of course the leads and chiefs for the various functions that exist within the district. So, without further ado, I'm not the reason that you're here. I would like to, of course, introduce Board President, Dr. Karen Collins Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Poole. Good afternoon, and I'd like to thank everyone for being here. The St. Louis Public School Board of Education met in executive session Friday, and made a significant decision regarding the district leadership. Effective immediately, Dr. Millicent Borishade has been relieved of her duties as superintendent. This action was not taken lightly. After careful deliberation, the board concluded that the decisive steps were necessary to ensure stability, maintain confidence, and preserve the focus of students and learning. The well-being of our students and the strength of our schools, along with the trust of our community, guided every part of this decision. We are firm in our commitment to the students who depend on us and the families who have entrusted their young to us. Before making this announcement public, the board informed the cabinet leadership so that the district will remain stable and every department continue to serve schools without interruption. To lead the transition, the board has appointed an interim superintendent who has immediately assumed the responsibility for day-to-day operations. I am pleased to announce the appointment of Dr. Myra Berry. Dr. Berry brings a wealth of experience and dedication to St. Louis Public Schools. We're certain that she will not only ensure continuity in the classrooms and student services throughout this district, but she'll also provide continuity for the community as a whole. More importantly, Dr. Berry is a long-time SLPS employee to the board and the community, and you already know her. She has been deeply vetted through internal evaluation and the professional review. We chose a homegrown, trusted steward of our mission. Her commitment to this is not theoretical, as she has walked the halls as a school principal and a central office administrator. She's built relationships and understands our challenges firsthand. The board understands that the future of St. Louis Public Schools rests on our resilience and our ability to uphold strong governance. We recognize profound importance and policy accountabilities that align directly with the day-to-day operational practices. This alignment is what enables the kind of partnership and the impact of the results that we expect, both academically and financially. The board is united in its commitment to providing the leadership and oversight required to hold ourselves accountable. The board will be launching a search for a permanent St. Louis Public Schools superintendent. This will be open and inclusive. Staff, families, students, and the community will have the opportunity to provide input and help shape the criteria for selecting the next permanent leader of our school district. Today, we also want to share an important and hopeful step forward. The board, and I repeat, the board has actively looked at reopening several of the schools that have been damaged by the May 16th tornado, and those schools were relocated to other school sites. This decision reflects the input we have heard from families, staff, and neighborhood leaders. It is part of our renewed commitment to the neighborhood schools and equitable access to education for all of our students. We know moments of transition bring questions, and I'm sure you'll have a lot of questions today. And our commitment is to answer those questions with clarity, transparency, and respect. Our community deserves nothing less. At this time, I'm happy to be the first to officially introduce you to our interim superintendent, Dr. Myra Berry, who will share her vision and connection to our mission. We begin our next step forward now. Thank you. Dr. Berry?
Thank you, Dr. Collins Adams. Good afternoon. It is both an honor and a privilege to stand before you today as I begin my service as interim superintendent of St. Louis Public Schools. I want to express my sincere gratitude to the Board of Education for their confidence and support in naming me to this vital role. I also want to thank the entire SLPS community in advance for the grace and partnership you undoubtedly extend as we begin this important work ahead. Our promise is clear: to keep students at the center of every decision we make, every choice, every consideration, and every plan forward will be guided by what is best for our children, our staff, and our community. In the coming days, we will be meeting with the board, district leaders, school principals, teachers, students, families, our local labor unions, and the community partners to listen, to learn, to align our priorities. Together, we will ensure a smooth and continued focus on excellence in every classroom. The SLPS community has always been extraordinary, resilient, passionate, and deeply committed to our students. I am confident that we will do what we've always done. Come together, support one another, and move in the only direction that matters, forward. I want all of you to know that I have no illusions about the challenges that we face today and ones we will face in the future. They are real, they are important, but not insurmountable. The city is rooting for us, and we are rooting for our students the way that true believers do. More than this being a new day, it is the continuation of commitment to serving our mission. That means we will not be defined by the narrative of others. Instead, we will write our own story, one of healing, hope, and progress. Our community has endured challenges, but we are strong enough to overcome them. Through patience, kindness, compassion, we will rebuild trust, strengthen relationships, and continue the vital work of educating our city's children. Together, we can move St. Louis Public Schools forward, stronger, united, and focused on what truly matters, the success and the well-being of every student and staff we serve. As we begin this new chapter together, let us be reminded of the words of Marian Wright Elderman. Education is for improving the lives of others and for leaving your community and world better than you found it. That is our purpose. That is our commitment. This is our opportunity. From here, we start anew. It is my privilege to stand and work beside and in conjunction with our local labor unions. I know they will not only hold us accountable, but push towards our mission to provide an excellent education that enables each student to realize their fullest potential. Local 42 and the dedicated men and women who serve as the backbone of St. Louis Public Schools, our members work tirelessly every day to ensure that our schools are safe, clean, and well-maintained environments where students can thrive and learn. From skilled trades to paraprofessionals, from our secretaries and determined teachers, the talented staff of Local 420 take great pride in their work and their contributions of the overall success of the district. Local 420 has a long-standing history of collaboration, professionalism, and advocacy. Together with district leadership, we share a commitment to student success, operational excellence, and community service. Through mutual respect and open communication, we continue to strengthen the partnership that supports the mission of St. Louis Public Schools. And that is also with the well-being of the staff that make it possible. I would like to introduce you to Byron Clemens, the spokesperson for Local 420.
First, I want to apologize on behalf of our president, Ray Cummings. He said he's getting ready for our labor management meeting at 3:30. So this is his statement. We worked on it together. The American Federation of Teachers, St. Louis, AFT Local 420, offers support to the St. Louis Public Schools Board of Education, their decision to promote Dr. Berry to interim superintendent. We worked with Dr. Berry and look forward to continuing the relationship. She was a special education teacher. Our members are responsible for the education and well-being of the children of St. Louis every day. Every working day we pledge to work with the school board and continue on the path of revitalizing the district. We are pleased to learn the recently increased budget surplus in the last school board meeting. The projections remain optimistic about reopening schools and improving the district. Rather than look in the rearview mirror, we look at a time to turn the page. And we've been floating some ideas. We recently had a town hall meeting that was very successful. The community stepped forward there and said their ideas about where we could go. And full service community schools was one of the things they championed. A trade school in conjunction with the AFL-CIO in North St. Louis. That's one of the things we could work on. This is not part of my prepared remarks, but Sumner High School, a storied place. The history of this district is important to keep in mind. So we're not going to bemoan the past. It's not doom and gloom. We've survived lots of things in the past. Moving forward is the right thing to do. We're confident that Dr. Berry, a homegrown gal, is an important part of this. We're glad she's here. Thank you.
I'll just follow up a little bit with AFT Missouri. This is, since I was in school in St. Louis Public Schools, this will probably be the first superintendent that I've ever been under that I know is actually care about us doing the work. I've met multiple. I think Cleveland Hammonds was his name back in the day, but I've met and have worked under multiple and have went around in different districts, and this will be the first one. So I really feel like our babies deserve a safe and welcoming community, schools, not only just them and their parents, but we deserve it too. We deserve to be safe and heard in the classrooms. We deserve somebody who actually cares about what's going on in those classrooms. We encourage teamwork. We might not always get along, but we always going to work together to make sure that our students, our community, and ourselves are supported. So I think this is a very good move. And just know we're never giving up on public education privatizers. It belongs to the people, and Dr. Berry is going to help take us there.
Okay, thank you for all of our speakers. We're going to open up the floor for questions. We have roughly about 15, 17 minutes. Please indicate by raising your hand who you'd like to speak to, and we, of course, will make them available. Look at that. Wait.
I'd like to speak to the board president.
Okay.
How are you?
I'm fine, and thank you for asking me to the mic.
The last decent superintendent this district had was Dr. Kelvin Adams. His pay, you might know him.
I might.
His pay was $230,000. Since the pay for the two failed superintendents rose to like over $260,000. Is there any thoughts to rolling that pay back for the superintendent as well as senior staff?
Well, we haven't actually started looking at the financial aspect of this, but it will be reasonable and within the guidelines of what we're following throughout the state of Missouri. So there is and all of that will be transparent. We will be able to get that information to the public.
Will it be less than $260,000?
Sir, I can't give you that right now, but I think that's one thing that everyone should consider. You know, when we promote internally, we take someone that is already being paid by the district and then add to that particular salary, promote someone within. So that's what we're trying to do right now, to just be able to keep our budget balanced.
How much is Dr. Berry making?
Well, I'm not going to, this is not a part of this conference right now, but we'll get all that information to you. So,
can you shed any more reason as to why Dr. Borishade was fired without cause, and was school closures regarding the storm damaged schools part of that conversation?
I don't believe that there's one significant thing that we could say that pinpointed everything. The board met for 5 hours. We talked about multiple things that have been going on in the district. And if you guys and you as a reporter have been at many of our board meetings to know that the discussions were getting relatively intense on the kinds of things that the community was asking for. Board members were elected to be able to govern the district, but we were elected by community members, so it was important for us to listen to that. So we looked at what we needed to do to improve our standpoint in this school district and move forward. And as a result of that, Dr. Borishade was released but not with cause, and we feel like we've made a very sound decision and a selection to be able to have Dr. Berry step up so that we can move forward with the initiatives that we really need to get going right now.
Was she given an opportunity, was this feedback given to her regarding, her performance, and was there a superintendent evaluation done to give her a chance to maybe work on
When you release someone that is without cause, that conversation is not a part of this, so this is not a part of an evaluation process, okay? There are other factors, so.
Dr. Collins Adams? What's
Yes,
the
ma'am.
status of the reimagining?
I'm going to ask you politely if you could step in front of that. I really can't. Thank you.
What's the status of the reimagining SLPS process? And do you anticipate closing schools by next fall?
I think right now, and we have a number of individuals in this room that would be considered as experts on school closures and how that process has to be worked. That's not something we can just arbitrarily say with a report that's given to the community that we're going to automatically start closing schools. It's a very steady process to be able to do this. It's based on a number of things: enrollment, our budget, and how we see moving communities forward, because when you close a school, many times you destroy a neighborhood. So we're careful of that. One of the things that we will need to do is get an exact plan and get it to the public so that we can see whether or not there is a need for that immediately, or if we have to extend this into the deeper future. That's the details, and we have a commitment. We have a commitment from this board to be very transparent. Several of our board members that ran for election said that we were going to put information forward. So what we'd like to do from this point on, if there's something that you really need from us, please request it so that we can get that information. Our media sometimes is the only opportunity that we have to be able to get information to the community quickly. Everyone either follows social media or the news media on television or the newspapers. So that's important. We'll get all of that to you. We're looking at possibilities.
Okay. When will families and parents be notified of the leadership change?
That, with this press release and all of the other administrative information that we needed to get to our leadership group today, that was happening as we speak, and has been happening all day long as the Director of Communications has been sending information out to all of our constituents, our stakeholders, the entire community.
Do you hope to have a new superintendent by July 1st, 2026?
That is the plan.
A national search is an option. You already have a homegrown option. Everyone seems to be proud here. Why continue to have national searches when you have an option right here?
I think what we need to do is be fair to the community to be able to look at what's possible. And when we say a national search, that actually opens it up for anyone in the state of Missouri, anyone in our immediate counties, the people that are right here in our school district to apply. So when we say national search, it's to be all-encompassing so that we get everyone that really has the qualifications and think that they can take the helm of SLPS, move forward and step up to the plate to be able to interview, apply, and then interview.
You weren't here for the old school board, but would you say the school board, there are some holdovers, of course, here. Would you say the school board is just as much to blame for the failures of this school district as the superintendents were?
No, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, that's speculation.
Yeah.
You
And-
talked about the storm damage schools. Do you have committing to opening them back up? When? Do you see that?
We're working right now with several, looking at several schools. It's about maybe 3 or 4 schools that we can open hopefully before January. If we can't do that, then yes, because if you were privileged to the information that we were getting at our most recent board meeting, Tuesday, October 14th, then we did discuss a possibility of those schools that could have some temporary replacements and creating a plan to be able to move back in. With that, though, out of respect for everyone that's involved in this, that's not just a plan that we make in central office and go flip a switch and everybody's going to move. We don't do it that way. We have to have the parents, the principals, the advisors along the way outside of what the operational team will do to be able to say the schools are ready. A move means everyone will have to go back into that place, and we have to see whether or not that's even possible for them to do that during that time frame. If it's not, then we'll give a better timeline for it, but that timeline will go to the community first. Let me give a commitment to our media as you are present here today. We need to start celebrating our success at St. Louis Public Schools. I have a really good relationship with several of the reporters here, but if you don't have good news, you can't put a story out. We would like to be able to signal when we have something really good and let you determine whether or not it's something that's going to go out immediately, or if you have to table it for other news and then, do a soft presentation of it. That's important, that what we do gets to you and it gets out the way it needs to. We haven't done very good at that, and so that's something that we're working on right now. And hopefully we'll start immediately
Yes.
from this.
Okay, next question, please.
For the interim superintendent.
Okay, Dr. Collins, you can take a seat.
You mentioned the many challenges that you know you'll face. Is there one that stands out in particular?
So again, there are multiple, right? I know for the community right now, we're looking at our impacted schools, so that's high on our list. But as always, we are looking at many factors that weigh in and determine the success of our community.
Dr. Berry, congratulations.
Thank you.
You worked closely with the last two superintendents. Can you talk about how your style might be different, or how you might work on improving the morale in the district?
Absolutely. Thank you for saying that. Actually, we are focused on student success, safety, right? Staff morale, communication, and building community trust. So that's our focus, and those are priorities that we're going to hone in on.
What do you hope to do first as superintendent? Congratulations.
Thank you.
What are you hoping to get done this week? Visit the schools?
Absolutely. Listen, right? Listen, take in a lot. Understanding, listen to our community. As I stated earlier, we are planning to meet with all constituents to figure out next moves. However, things that are working, we are doing great things in SLPS. And what you have to know is that schools are open, our students are learning, our teachers are there, they are instructing. So while we are dealing with this, our children, they are learning.
How important is it for you in particular to open up some of these tornado damaged schools that have been closed?
Absolutely. The voices of our community, our parents, our students, it's important. So we are listening to our community. We're going to take back all the information and feedback, align them to our priorities, and ensure that we all can work together to reach success. And whatever success looks like, that we are all in agreement to how we can do that and when we do it.
Are schools like Sumner and Sylvan going to reopen?
Can I answer that question for you? But I can tell you the community, the district, we are committed. As our board president stood up here and said before you, committed to reopening schools.
What message do you have for taxpayers in the city of St. Louis? They've seen a lot of failures, they've seen disasters like the state audit and everything else. What do you say now to reassure taxpayers in this city that things will be different?
Absolutely. Believe in us, right? We need you. You want our schools to be better. We need our schools to be better. We need our community members. We are going to go forward with transparency, accountability, but we are open to listening and learning. But believe us, we want and we will do better.
A year from now, what's one measurable, tangible thing you want families, even faculty and staff to feel?
Absolutely. We are committed to our word. We said it, we did it, you see it, and now we're moving on to the next commitment to ensure that we have constant growth. We're bringing our children back to the city of St. Louis. We are bringing our children back to the public schools of St. Louis City. And you will see that, our parents will see that, and our children will understand that we will always keep them first, and we will grow and make progress moving forward together.
Would you hope to be named the permanent superintendent?
In this moment, my commitment is to serve as interim, and I will do that as faithfully and as committed for as long as needed.
We have time for a couple of more questions, if there are any.
When do you hope to hire the permanent superintendent by?
When do they hope to hire the permanent superintendent by?
The fiscal year ends June 30th. We'd hope to have the permanent superintendent July 1. It takes about 3 to 4 months to be able to do a search and then do the thorough background check. And of course, there are community forums for parents, teachers, staff members, the community stakeholders. So yes, July 1.
How will you, oftentimes in the process of a superintendent search, usually a national recruiting agency is tapped to do that. But we've seen examples in recent memory, Francis Powell, Des Moines.
Right.
And sometimes the results of those searches are not always the best. I can even say Scarlet here. What is that search going to look like?
I've watched those disasters, and Because it hurts everyone when something goes wrong after a search and they've hired someone and then they have to leave. We have to do our due diligence. We really have to do a thorough background check. And if something doesn't look right and something doesn't feel right, then it's not right. And we have to be able to get that information before we do a solid, firm commitment to the next superintendent.
How much did you have to pay Dr. Borishade to leave? Was there, what kind of severance agreement was that? How much did that cost?
We don't have that information for you now. Right.
The state auditor had once said that this school district was on a financial path to possibly be bankrupt by like 2031. Are you still on that track, or is the picture better?
If you had watched our last board meeting when our finance officer did a presentation, our financial aspect is solid right now, and we hope to be able to stabilize it and keep it that way. So in order for a district to fail, it has to be 3% or below, and we're at, I believe right now, about 48. So that's not an issue for us right now. What we're looking at is solid, strong board governance.
One final question.
Why is it a good idea to buy out someone with all the financial issues they've had in the past? Like, what is your message to taxpayers who keep having to deal with these financial issues and now another one buying out and now former superintendent?
Let me ask you this as a more relevant question. Why, if we have serious problems and we have community concerns and we're not progressing, would you want to keep someone in that place that everyone is saying we need to be able to look at other options? We need to heal our community. We need to be able to move our students forward. We need to be fiscally sound. There are a lot of things that have been brought to the table, and if we're not doing that, then would you suggest that we keep the person?
All right.
Well, you asked the question.
That is the final. That's
you
the
asked
final.
The question.
One final.
That was the final question. One final. Okay, sorry.
I understand state lawmakers or state leaders are often reading the headlines. Any message to them in this moment? Maybe you're looking at the district through a critical lens.
Yes. I think that all of our state lawmakers, our legislators, our governor needs to look at our school board, because that's what we're looking at. We're talking about the possibility of, if there is a possibility to remove the governance of our school district and go back to a state-appointed board. But that's a process that they would have to do through the legislation. We are not unaccredited, so it would be a different process. I think they need to look at the fact that the board is a new board with solid governance, and we are planning on working with our superintendent and the staff members and the communities. We've listened to everything everyone has said over the last 6 months, and I am sorry that we had a tornado that disrupted our community and devastated so many lives. But that was a terrible spot that we have to rectify now, and I'm hoping that they see we're working on all of that, and change will happen.
He did ask a legitimate question.
Yes, but
I'm sorry, Elliot, that's going to be it.
I'm sorry, that was the last question. Thank you.
Shouldn't we know that? Shouldn't we know how much you...
Elliot, you're welcome to put in a sunshine request per normal protocol.
Including a SLPS, St. Louis Public School news conference about the firing of the Superintendent Millicent Borishade, who was walked out of the door with a box of her stuff to the garage on Friday. They explained a little bit why they got rid of Borishade. They said there were multiple reasons. The board had a 5-hour meeting. And 2 things that the board president said was that there was growing concern from the community about her role and her ability in the role. And that also she posed to a reporter who kept asking, why did you get rid of her? She said, well, let me ask you, if something's not moving forward, would you keep that person? So didn't really get into the specifics, but gave us a general idea, and the board feels very confident. They said that they have done the right thing. They will launch a new search for a new superintendent. They hope to get that person in place by the 1st of July, and they were very clear that they wanted input from the community about the criteria that is needed for this new person. What kind of person do they want to see in the role? In the meantime, Dr. Myra Berry will be taking over as interim superintendent. She did give comments. She was very enthusiastic. She had a big smile on her face the whole time, very energetic. Both the spokesperson for the teachers union and the board president called her homegrown. So very much focusing on the fact that Dr. Berry has been with the district for 20 years. She was a special education teacher, served as a principal, and then most recently she was working in the district office in human resources. So in the same office where Millicent Borishade was working, they were working closely in that central office. Dr. Myra Berry, some of her comments, she was focused on we need to move forward and we need the city and the area to support us. Yes, there have been things that have gone wrong, but we need people to believe, we need people to hope. She said, we want and we will be better. One other quick thing that's of note is that it was very upsetting for families around 4 or 5 schools that were damaged by the May 16th tornado. That was a pain point for Borishade because she was going to close those schools because they had been damaged. The board has said we are now going to look into possibly opening those schools again. They want to talk to people about the extent of the damage. They want to talk to the families. They want to talk to the community. They want to get all that input. Another big theme here in this conference was we're going to listen. We want to listen. So the very latest is this Dr. Myra Berry, effective immediately. She only found out on Friday that she is now in charge of the St. Louis Public Schools. Her message all about moving forward and putting the children first. We will have more and the latest from the reporter who was in the news conference from 5 on Your Side later on at 4, 5, and 6.